Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna be talking about our RayPak pool heat pump and whether it was worth it 1 year later. If you guys haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and click the subscribe button below and check the bell notifications icon to be notified every time one of our videos comes out each and every week. So I installed this RayPak pool heat pump last summer by myself. It was pretty easy, just some electrical and some plumbing connections to the pool pump. But I wanted to talk about 1 year later how it's been working and was it really worth it? I would say it is definitely worth it. Outside of the algae incident of 2021, which is a story for another time, I think it has definitely worked incredibly well, and it has extended the pool swimming season by a significant amount compared to without it. And in fact, we had our first swim of the year on March 25th. So we were able to open the pool season significantly earlier than we did last year in May. So let's talk about electricity costs first, because money matters a whole heck of a lot when you're installing one of these to heat up your pool. So just a quick note, with heat pumps for your pool heaters, these things are actually designed to be running 24/7, basically all the time, or really whenever your pool pump is on, as opposed to a propane heater, which is really a heat on demand type of a thing, which heats up immediately prior to you guys going into your pool. So you really want to run a heat pump consistently. So we have it running whenever our pool pump is running, which is about 8 hours a day, every day. That's because a pool heat pump like this one raises the temperature a lot more slowly, consistently, and evenly than a propane heater, which can skyrocket the temperature super fast. So in general, for the amount of electricity that this uses, on a daily basis, if you're running it 8 hours a day, it's gonna use 1.78 kilowatt hours. That's what we pulled directly from our electrical panel while this is running, which adds up to only about $13 a month to keep your pool heat pump running 8 hours a day, every single day. Now that's significantly different than if you're using a propane pool heater. And that's because the propane pool heater will use about 4 gallons of propane to raise your pool's temperature, which at a current rate of about $2.39 a gallon for propane, that's about $9 to $10 per day if you're running it every day. Now understand it's a difference between on-demand heating versus keeping it hot all the time, but a heat pump like this one here will definitely let you be ready to hop in the pool about any day that you want to in the summertime. So let's talk about some of the features and things that I didn't know or that weren't necessarily in the literature that you guys may want to know or need to know before buying this or when you get it installed. And the first one that we were really concerned about or didn't know how it was going to work is how to control the heat pump to make sure it only turns on when the pool pump is on. We thought we may need to get some extra wires to go between the pump and the heat pump itself, but thankfully you don't. This heat pump is awesome because it's got a sensor inside of it that can tell when there's water flowing through the heat pump itself so it can turn on. And then when the pool pump turns off at the end of the day, it'll actually sense that there's no water going through it and turn it off. In the same respect, if your water level happens to get too low and it pulls air through the pump, which unfortunately sometimes happens here, it'll actually sense that and turn the heat pump off as well automatically. So it's super nice and actually protects it, and it's a nice safety feature that the heater has. The heat pump itself also has a really easy to use screen here that's got a nice cover so it's protected from the sunlight, that you can easily select pool heat, which is the only one you're really going to be doing, that you set a target temperature to that you can raise and lower, and that sets it to it automatically. You can also do a timed heat, which just turns it on for a certain amount of time a day, but really you want the automatic setting. Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment and talk about our sponsor for today's video, and that is Harvest Right freeze dryers. This is a great company that's been around for a while, and they make the top of the line freeze dryers for your home residential needs. They make 3 sizes of freeze dryers, a small, medium, and large, to suit your needs perfectly. These machines are great, computerized, automated, so all you have to do is prep your food, put them in the freeze dryer in about 24 to 48 hours, depending on your food. You'll have nice, preserved food that'll last you for years if properly stored. And I must say that the customer service that Harvest Right gives you is outstanding. I've had a couple questions that I've had to ask them and send email support to them, and they've gotten back to me so fast that I actually was not expecting it. So if you guys are in the market for a freeze dryer or looking for a way to preserve food, to make food last longer, to make camping food that's actually high quality, make sure to check out the link below in the description for Harvest Right freeze dryers, and that actually helps out the channel quite a bit. So go check them out and consider purchasing a freeze dryer from Harvest Right freeze dryers. So now let's talk about how this heat pump actually performed, and we'll talk about an occasion that I took data on in February when it's still pretty cold here, as well as in March, at the end of March, when we used our pool for the first time. So back in February, the temperatures outside, the air temperatures, were between 35 and 40 degrees when I ran this test. Now with that being said, the pool heat pump itself was in direct sunlight. So now let's look at how this heat pump actually performed, and we're going to start by sharing some data about how it performed in the winter time. Then it was about 35 to 40 degrees air temperature, and the heat pump itself was actually in direct sunlight because it was early in the afternoon. The water temperature going through it, because it does have a readout on the front of it, was at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now at those air temperatures, after about an hour, the heat pump only raised the water temperature about a degree. And I don't think it would have raised it anymore, to be honest, because the outside air temperature was so cold. That is the only real drawback of this pool heat pump, is that when the outside air temperature is really cold, I'd guess below about 50 to 60 degrees, it's just not going to perform very well, and the amount of electricity that you use to raise the temperature of the pool water is not going to even out, basically. So we really wanted to go swimming, and by say we, my daughter really wanted to go swimming. And that's mostly because she sees the pool outside in our backyard every time she opens the door to let the dog out or go in the backyard. So about a week prior to March 25th, we turned this pool heat pump on, and turned it on when the pool pump turns on about 8 hours a day for that week leading up. Now the temperatures for that week started at 72 degrees a week prior. And then on March 25th, the high was actually 87 degrees, the hottest it was going to be that week. And thankfully, the pool heat pump performed perfectly and raised the temperature of the water up to our target temperature, which was 90 degrees. So we were able to go swimming at the end of March here in Southern California, and it was the only thing that got us out of the pool was the wind started to pick up and made it really cold to get out. So even though it wasn't super screaming hot outside, this heat pump performed perfectly and raised the temperature enough that we could go swimming at the end of March, and it was a lot of fun. And it didn't cost us an arm and a leg to heat up the pool. In total, for running the heat pump that entire week, it was only $2.20. So super efficient and low electricity usage with a fairly cheap bill. If you were to compare that to running a propane heater for even just for the day prior to swimming, we saved $7. So this can substantially save you money if you're swimming a lot. Now with that being said, you should keep your heat pump on, especially during the spring, summer, and fall when you're swimming every day, so that way I can keep a consistent temperature throughout the days and the weeks. That's because this is actually designed to set a standard temperature and not be on 8 hours a day. It's meant to turn on, keep it raised a little bit, and just keep it in that zone. So you're not actually going to be running the heat pump 8 hours a day. It'll probably end up only running in total like 2 to 4 hours a day, and that's it. So in the end, was this heat pump worth the cost that we paid for it? That's a loaded question for sure. But I can tell you that it was definitely worth it in general, because we actually get about 7 months of swimming out of our pool now, instead of really like end of May to beginning of September. We can do end of March to really beginning of October. So we get a lot of time to swim in our pool. So it is definitely worth it because we get a lot more use out of our pool than we did before. And the cost is definitely monthly for electricity, definitely worth it compared to a propane heater, which still costs you about a third. That's about $1,000 to get a propane heater, at least a cheap one. So spend a little bit more up front to get the heat pump pool heater, and spend a lot less every single year on electricity to heat your pool up. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure to click the subscribe button below if you haven't already, so you get notified of all of our new videos that come out each and every week from our family farm here in California. Also, make sure to check out our sponsor link below for Harvest Right freeze dryers. They're a super great company, nice people, great customer service, and a really fun, exciting, and great product to have, especially on your own family farm.